Okay, welcome back. It's Mr. Hassan's Maths channel, and this is a question from one of the test your understandings at the end of one of the lessons. The lesson was on discriminant, and one of the students has asked me to answer this question, and it's asking about for what values of k is the quadratic 9x squared plus kx plus 16 a perfect square. Okay, so this is actually kind of linked to discriminant because there's a link that I was hoping the students would discover between when the discriminant of a quadratic is equal to 0 and how it factorizes, because of course when the discriminant is equal to 0 you have a repeated root, which means you have a repeated factor, which means when you factorize, okay, if you make this equal to 0, 9x squared plus kx plus 16 equals 0, this equation will have repeated roots. So you're going to have a bracket that's squared. So you could work out the value of k by, writing this as a perfect square, which we can do quite easily because 9x squared is 3x. If you square root it, and there's a plus here, so it'll be a plus here, and the square root of 16 is 4. So when you expand such brackets like this, the middle term is always given by the two terms multiplied together, so 3x times 4, and then doubled. So that's going to give us 12x times 2, which is 24x. So therefore we can say k is equal to 24. Alternatively, we could have understood that the discriminant is going to be 0 when you have a perfect square, because that's the case where you have one root. Perfect square is always going to be when you have one root. So we could say b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0. So our a is 9, our b is k, and our c is 16. So if you substitute these in, you got k squared minus 4 times 9 times 16 is equal to 0. So k squared is equal to, that's 36 times 16. In fact, I'm going to write it like this: 4 times 9 times 16. We're going to take the square root of both sides. So there's something I forgot here actually. You're going to have the positive or negative square root of all these factors. This is a very easy way to square root because you find all of these are perfect squares, you see. So you're going to have plus or minus 2 times 3 times 4, that's going to give you 6 times 4, which is 24. So plus or minus 24. So k equals plus or minus 24. Now, this is one scenario where you have 3x plus 4 equals squared equals 0. The other scenario when you have 3x minus 4 squared equals 0. All right, so there's two options here. This is a perfect square, this is a perfect square. Both of those will give us a repeated root. So in this case, you'll have 2 times 3x times negative 4, which gives you negative 24x. So therefore, k could also be negative 24. Okay, so in either case, you can say k could be either plus or minus 24, positive or negative 24. Those are the two solutions. Those are the values of k for which this is a perfect square. When you put 24 instead of k, you will end up with a square bracket, either 36 plus 4 if it's plus 24, if k is plus 24, or 3x minus 4 squared if it's negative 24, and that gives you a repeated root, which means, of course, that's how you get perfect square. Perfect square is something that leads to a repeated root because you end up with the same root twice. So I hope that was clear. It's trying to link together the roots and the fact that when you have repeated roots, you'll always have a perfect square. So I hope that was clear. Thank you for watching. Any other questions, please do ask.